2 weeks ago, I made a video on the most legendary villain entrances in anime, and you made an even bigger entrance for that video, so I just had to make another one for you. But this time, instead of focusing on the villains, let's shine the spotlight on our main characters. Can they hold their own against the villains, or are they even better? Let's get started now, shall we? When it comes to hype entrances, we can't exclude Kirito from Sword Art Online Alicization. This entrance in particular takes place during the War of the Underworld, during which Kirito was effectively in a coma. Vasago, our sweet old villain, was threatening Asuna and the others, intending to kill as many of them as needed for Kirito to wake up. The battle wasn't going in favor of our heroes, and Asuna was on the ground as the battle waged on, when suddenly everything froze over. Kirito then proceeded to defend Asuna and fight off against the overly excited Vasago. Honestly, the guy was a little bit too excited. I mean, it gave me Hisoka vibes for a minute there. Creep factor aside, Kirito's awakening was something fans wanted to see, and his waking up with his past powers was such an awesome addition. We saw our black swordsman dual-wielding like before in his previous getup and turning Vasago into a tree. Suffice to say, it was visually stunning, and you could feel the emotions in the soundtrack. The choreography was gorgeous too. Next, we have the Black Bull saving Finral. This scene is brief, but even a moment is enough to convey several important aspects. Chief amongst them is the bond that unites the Black Bulls. Despite their differences, they stand as a squad of battle-hardened comrades who will defend each other no matter what. I appreciate how this moment follows Finral's defeat. We spent a lot of time watching him be underestimated and belittled, and the anime seems intent on reinforcing that idea. But just as his moment of reckoning arrives, who better to come to his aid than the ragtag team known as the Black Bulls? Seeing everyone acting so serious and out of character makes it clear that Langris has made a huge mistake. Luck's expression alone tells you everything about this. Next, we have D meeting the Marcus brothers from Vampire Hunter D, a local badass with a penchant for cool entries. Besides, when you're a half-human, half-vampire hybrid who hunts vampires with a vengeance, it automatically boosts your badass points. To emphasize how cool D's entry is, let me tell you about the time the Marcus brothers stumbled onto him. Upon hearing a horse in the distance, one of the Marcus brothers, Borgov, aimed for the distance and fired an arrow from a modified bow. The arrow flew straight into our hero's hand, and I don't mean that as a figure of speech. D literally caught the arrow as it was flying towards him. Next thing you know, his horse stands on its hind legs, making its awesome cape flare up and look like wings against the moon, resulting in a gorgeous visual. D then broke the arrow while giving the Marcus brothers a bombastic side-eye before riding off into the distance.
D.
Up next, we have Shinra saving Tamaki from Fire Force, an entrance that was literally fire. When you hear a damsel in distress, it's nothing short of your obligation to run to rescue her. In this case, our boy Shinra busted right through the roof as the villain was brutally manhandling Tamaki. The build-up was great since most of us were praying for retribution as Rekka kept stomping on Tamaki. The worst part is though, that she genuinely used to like him. With our blood boiling, Shinra entered from above, wings of fire behind his back, and literally curb-stomped Rekka. It was so satisfying to watch, not to mention the visuals and soundtrack that accompanied that entrance. Shinra shows us how dependable he is that even Tamaki begins crying, seeing him come to her rescue. It's a very emotional moment, and Shinra shows how reliable he can be when things look bad. Next up on our list we have Natsu's return after his year of training in the anime Fairy Tail. It was the final day of the Grand Magic game. The crowd's all excited for what's in line when a mysterious figure walks into the playing field. Clad in a cool hood and giving off some incredible magic power, Lucy gets so worried from seeing the future that she's about to order an evacuation, only for Natsu to take off his hood with a burst of fire as he stands to face the supposed strongest guild around. This guy single-handedly causes a heat blast that melts everyone's clothes and results in a visually satisfying explosion and fan service. A bunch of fan service. The visuals aside, the part that makes this entrance particularly legendary is that Natsu shows up in front of the guild, crowned the strongest in the games, and proceeds to make them run for their lives in a little over a minute. With most of that minute consisting of him walking into the field, definitely some Muzan vibes right there. Moving on, we have Kafka Hibino from Kaiju number 8, who's your average 32-year-old man who's fed up with his job. Kafka's badass entrance against the deadly kaiju made us all fall for him, including Shinomiya, whom he saved. Shinomiya, who's the daughter of a legendary Defense Force officer and a prodigy herself, found herself in a seriously tight spot during a kaiju battle. She's tough as nails and doesn't back down, but even she got overwhelmed when a particularly nasty kaiju decided to make her its next snack. In the heat of the battle, just when things were looking grim, Kafka jumped in, transformed into his kaiju number 8 form, and with monstrous strength and agility, he takes on the kaiju, saving Shinomiya from what would have been a very messy end. Hellsing, a show of vampires, monstrosity overpowered priests, and Nazis. The weirdest combination you've probably heard of, but not for the fans of the series. Alucard is Count Dracula, and he's basically the strongest defender mankind has, along with the Hellsing organization. Even though our hero is a bit unhinged, actually. That aside, while there's a massive war taking place, Alucard shows up in one of the most metal entrances on this list. Dude literally controls a ship with a fighter jet crash landed on it, forming the shape of a cross. He then proceeds to jump smack dab in the middle of the battlefield between two different armies. The entrance has such an awesome vibe to it that it's literally one of the most badass and unhinged entrances in my books. If this was a Looney Tune episode, everyone's jaw would be dropping to the floor at this point. Suffice to say, this entrance is like a high-level player joining the game session, and that too with style. Let's move on to Spike's entrance from the Cowboy Bebop movie. There are many ways to introduce a bounty hunter, but do you know what the best way is? Seeing the dude in action, of course. Normally, when you witness a robbery, it's human nature to run as far away as you possibly can. But that's not the approach for our boy Spike. Despite not having any superpowers, Spike casually walks to the entrance, sucker kicks a dude almost twice his size before proceeding to enter the store and kicking a gun out of another guy's hands before knocking him out and giving him some late night coffee. To the face. The reason why this entrance is so legendary is mainly because of Spike's aura. That vibe Spike gives off, casually facing off against robbers armed with guns and then smoothly dodging bullets left and right, just looks awesome. Overall, this scene is such a treat to the eyes because of its fluid choreography and vibes. You definitely shouldn't miss this one. Next, we have an entrance from the anime Ishura. Yuno, the distant Talon, has her entire life disrupted as mechanical golem-type demons attack from the Great Labyrinth and cause massive destruction. The poor mage, despite having an awesome name, is quickly surrounded by these mini-mechas. Death approaches her as she tries to fight them off, but suddenly the golems turn into dead golems. Not the smoothest line, I know, but it is what it is. Sojiro appears. This badass has one of the worst attitudes possible, but he's just so good at what he does. By wiping out the golems, Sojiro makes the things we thought were a massive threat into cannon fodder. Apart from being visually gorgeous, the entrance shows off Sojiro's strength by his extremely chill attitude, and the voice acting really does it justice. Did I mention the fact that he also proceeds to take down an Evangelion level mecha with a busted sword? How cool is that? Now let's talk about Joseph Joestar. You may remember him as an old guy since that's how he looks in the newest seasons, even though he had his glory days. I'm talking about the time when our boy learned how to use Harmon and fought the Pillarmen. This particular instance is when Santana was making a mess of the Germans by shooting bullets from his fingertips. Is that bizarre? Well, it gets even wackier when Joseph suddenly rushes in, tears hair from a German officer's head, and proceeds to make a barrier to block the bullets Santana fires. I won't lie, this is probably the only anime that will let an English dude rip out hair from a German dude's head before imbuing it with the power of the sun to block bullets. Shot out from what is basically a vampire, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is definitely an apt name for this one. Suffice to say, this was definitely Joseph at his peak, and if I ever had a list of the top legendary entrances in JoJo, this would be 100% at the top of my list. Up next, we have Ragnar's entrance from Ragnar Crimson. Here's a bit of background. Dragons attacked the city because their god's favourite pastry shop closed down. End of background. At this moment in time, Grimwald, one of the strongest dragons, was about to end our heroine's life. Ragnar had already seen what had happened in the past, and he gained his future self's strength and memories so that the past wouldn't be repeated. Or the future. I mean, it is a little bit confusing, but I think you understand what I mean, right? After gaining the power his future self would have, Ragnar's killing intent is enough to stop Grimwald in his tracks. The entire battlefield gets filled with frozen dragons, and all you can hear are Ragnar's footsteps and the faint sound of the wind. This was a great choice by the studio, as it really makes you feel the weight of the situation and Ragnar's power. The way Ragnar speaks about his losses and wins sends shivers down your spine. This scene was definitely a feast for our eyes. The icy cold aura was exceptionally well done and certainly helped distract you from the less than ideal CGI elements. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a like and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Join the ViniiTube family and let's share our common love for anime together. Thanks. It's time to talk about the legendary entrance of a man who wears many masks. To some, he's the Undertaker, to others, Baligar, but to his enemies, he's simply the Reaper, and they'd rather not meet him. The scene kicks off with the good guys getting absolutely wrecked and outgunned by a swarm of creepy spider mechas. Ugh. Just when a tank spider's about to crush our heroes, the Reaper shows up and starts handing out beatdowns like it's a clearance sale. Switching between melee and long-range combat like he's flipping channels, the Reaper dances through enemy lines, dismantling them piece by piece. Sure, the CGI might be a little hard to stomach, but the animation still delivers as we watch the Reagan Leaf move with lethal precision. This moment is pure adrenaline, and it's just the kind of epic you expect from the Reaper. Ah yes, the highly anticipated Deku vs Shigaraki. You see, this isn't their first fight. Deku tried to defeat this villain multiple times in the past, but this time their confrontation was a little bit different. We get to see Midoriya using his gear shift for the very first time, and boy was it glorious. It's a power that allows him to alter the velocity of anything he touches, including himself. Essentially, it's like having the ultimate control over speed. Midoriya can shift gears to either accelerate, decelerate, or even make something stop entirely in an instant. I'm pretty sure all One Piece fans felt something when Midoriya pulled this one off. We really can't keep the original hanging in the shadows. I'm talking about the one and only Guts from Berserk. Oh yeah, and the tavern scene I'm talking about isn't from that god-awful CGI-filled monstrosity that was the 2016 remake. I'm talking about the good old 1997 version, which was by far better than most of the Berserk's animated series. The world is in chaos due to Griffith's ascension, and things are pretty bleak. Around this time, a couple of thugs are oppressing a young girl in a tavern, but the people around are too afraid to intervene. The girl's grandpa shows up and tries to beg the thugs to let her go, only to be kicked into the ground. The scene truly makes you angry, but it sets everything up just right as suddenly one of the guys abusing the girl gets an arrow shot through his skull. The next thing you know, most of the thugs are dead and one of them is cleaved in half by one swing of Guts' massive sword. The entire situation and the oppressive aura Guts showcases just makes this tavern scene a spectacular entrance. While on the topic of badass warriors saving girls, let's talk about Goblin Slayer's first appearance. Just like the world of Berserk, the world of Goblin Slayer is filled with some pretty horrendous situations. Goblins don't care much for humanity, and despite being weak monsters, they make up for it by attacking in packs. They're a bit too fond of human females. The priestess and a beginner party entered a nest of goblins, thinking they'd make for easy pickings. This only leads to almost every one of the party members being either brutally massacred or abused in the worst sense of the word. The priestess too would have been one of the victims if not for our hero's entrance. The way Goblin Slayer entered the nest was just so visually striking, and it was like you were watching a demonic beast walk. He proceeded to calmly kill the goblins before introducing himself as the Goblin Slayer. Note to self, never mess with the dude the series is named after. Well, honestly, we can't talk about legendary entrances without mentioning Shadow. Our hero from The Eminence in Shadow has a flair for the dramatic and has made a whole bunch of awesome entrances. Despite him being a guy who clearly just wants to be cool, Shadow's plus point is that he's extremely powerful. That aside, the entrance I'm talking about happens in Season 2 when the Lawless City is in chaos during the Red Moon. Right about the time 2 of the 3 monarchs in the Lawless City are clashing, Shadow makes his appearance. Just like the moment in Vampire Hunter D, Shadow also has the moon in the background and his clothes flare up, forming wings. Then, in true Shadow style, he drops right into the middle of the monarch's battle and delivers a killer one-liner. The animation, paired with Shadow's unbeatable swagger, makes this entrance unforgettable and undeniably epic. Our next legendary entrance involves a meteor of cataclysmic proportions. With such a large meteor, the world is on the brink of possibly an extinction-level event, and the heroes are dumbstruck as they should stop it. That's when our caped baldy Saitama arrives. In the blink of an eye, our hero jumps up and busts straight through the meteor, destroying it in a matter of seconds. The animation of it all was just so good that I couldn't help but watch it a few times just to bask in the glory of our One Punch Man. The way the explosion is shown from a zoomed-out perspective, comparing the size to the Earth, was gorgeously presented. Even the meteor shower that came after the meteor was destroyed looked awesome, despite the fact that it led to the destruction of a lot of buildings. Well, at least the Earth survived, so it doesn't matter if the economy... No list of legendary entrances is complete without an entry from Dragon Ball Z. The best one was definitely when Goku arrives on Namek. During this time, Krillin, Vegeta and Gohan have gotten their butts handed to them by the Power Rangers of the evil verse, the Ginyu Force. Despite being over-the-top dudes who love to pose, these guys aren't just style. They're strong enough to take down even Vegeta. When all hope seems lost, who should arrive but Goku, fresh from training under 100 times the Earth's gravity. In classic Goku fashion, he proceeds to casually wipe the floor with 3 members of the Ginyu Force, making them look like a bunch of amateurs in comparison. Why was this entrance so epic? Well, for starters, Goku's timing was perfect. If he hadn't shown up, our heroes would have been toast. Plus his casual attitude while dismantling these supposedly unbeatable foes just oozed confidence. This wasn't just Goku arriving to save the day, it was him making a statement. Things were about to get real. Naruto, the anime known for its epic battles and stunning visuals, has always made sure to leave its fans in awe. One of the best entrances in the series was at the time when Konoha was in ruins due to one of the strongest villains of the time, Pain. Pain attacked the village and was quick to dismantle most of the top ninja available. With the village flattened and hope fading fast, it seems like things couldn't get any worse. And guess what? Suddenly, a massive explosion of smoke erupts in the center of the chaos, and Naruto arrives back from his Sage Mode training looking more badass than ever. He's not alone either. Our boy arrives with a Toad Squad straight out of Jiraiya's playbook, perched on top of the giant Gamma Bunta, surrounded by 2 other giant toads. The guy doesn't just stroll into the fight, he makes a heroic entrance. The entrance marks Naruto's growth from an underdog to now a savior. It's a moment that gives you chills, reminding you of why Naruto is and will always be the ultimate shinobi. Before we reach the top entrance on this list, we have Ichigo's entrance against Yuha. Out of all the entries on this list, this is one of the best if we're talking about visuals. Studio Period showcased its best animation in this moment, and the sheer colours lit up the bleak background. Each of Ichigo's clashes after his entry were downright astounding. Yuha had completely decimated Soul Society by this time, and Ichigo was the last guy still able to fight. Yuha had proved to be too strong to fight against, but Ichigo still gave it his all after coming into the picture in the nick of time. The entrance itself was definitely awesome, but the result was less than ideal, since even Ichigo got his butt handed to him after making such a badass entrance. Although, the biggest reveal by far was that Ichigo had Quincy blood. Honestly though, our dude is like a chimera, having literally all the power types available. Finally, we have the best entrance around, and it comes from One Piece. You can rarely see a list without a scene from One Piece now. It just goes to show how amazing it truly is. When faced off against two Emperors of the Sea, it would be a common reaction to die from sheer intimidation. But Luffy has a lofty dream, and no Emperor is going to get in the way. While facing off against two of the strongest beings in the One Piece world, Luffy simply walks by them. Dude literally ignores them and walks right in between just to go see his friends who are beaten down to death's door. He then apologizes to them for being late in a moment that truly tugs on your heartstrings. The thing that sets this scene entrance apart from anything else is that it was during the moment that fans could truly visualize Luffy as an Emperor of the Sea. He was no longer the rookie we started our journeys with. He was at this point truly one of the strongest. If you haven't watched the most legendary villain entrances, well, what are you waiting for? Click on this next video and take a look. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of this juicy content.